Hey guys, welcome to Rocket Punch! On today's episode, we're gonna take a look at two of my favorite things. Something old and something new. And we're gonna put them together and make something really awesome. That's right. Today, we're gonna take a look at Savage Riffs. Ooh! Let's go!
Alright guys, today we're going to take a look at Savage Riffs. Now, when I grew up, Dungeons and Dragons was kind of small potatoes to me. I don't know. I'm kind of weird, so I started with Palladium games. Well, actually, my first game was Marvel Superheroes TSR version. And then I got into Palladium through Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And then I got into Riffs, and then all the other books. And I used to have, like, everything. I had, like, every single book, all Palladium stuff. And then, I don't know, I gave up in 2018 my hopes of ever being able to find a gaming table. And, well, I don't have a gaming table. I have a couple really cool dudes that we play on Discord all the time. So shout out to Keppa and the Pale Emperor and all my other friends over there on the Agranac Studios Cult Discord. And also, for Savage Worlds, I want to thank Justin over at Books, Bricks, and Boards for getting me into Savage Worlds. Now, I just got it. I just got Savage Worlds, and I just got my Riffs big supplement here. So I haven't got all the way into it, but I've been flipping through, reading some stuff here and there. And I like what I see. I like it. I'm kind of getting into Savage Worlds. And I love how they did my buddy Kevin, Kevin Simbada over at Palladium Books. I think he did a really great job with capturing the craziness and zaniness of Riffs from Kevin over there. I'm so glad they do that. I actually hope Savage Worlds takes on a lot more of the Palladium universe. I mean, I love Palladium, and I grew up with it. I love it a lot, but it's kind of, it has its stuff, but it has a lot of great stuff that people just brush off. But I love the ideas, the art, the story that those guys came up with. I mean, Kevin, I owe you so much, because I know you're totally listening, but I owe you so much of my high school years to Palladium Books. So I'm loving being able to open this again. And look at the size of this thing. This thing is mammoth. It is a total mammoth. And it has all this great stuff. You got some dice, huge map, 4 books, and your bennies to kind of like tokens for luck. So let's pop this thing open, take a nice look inside. You got the whole map of North America in the Riffs. You got all the Riffs mapped out. It's very awesome. Love it here. And you got the little key here, and I love how they even write down, the vampire kingdoms down here, which was the first world book. And I love the world book. That was my favorite. And I still love the first source book that has the Archie and Hagen on there. Love it. One of these days, I might pick up an old copy. Too bad I got rid of everything. So, what else we got in here? We got a nice dice set. Oh, I love this dice set. This is a really good set here because it has everything in your nice wild die. And on that wild die is the awesome, Coalition Skull. Yes. I love the Coalition. They had some awesome armor in the game. The Samus Power Armor, one of my faves. Then you get a big batch of tokens here. A ton of tokens. There's a lot of repeats. You get like a couple of the same ones. So you got like the Freedom Fighters here. So in this version, you kind of start off as like a group of Freedom Fighters already kind of having a home base, which that's kind of cool, but yeah, I probably won't do that. You got a nice Cyber Knight. Looks like a Zictic insect warrior they are going to throttle with their sword. They have this cool, like, future, because I know they originally started with Deadlands or whatever, So you have that Western Riffs gunslinger, which looks really cool. I want to do a Western gunslinger in that. Very awesome. You also have, I have no idea, what is this? A bunch of dudes under this tower. And then a huge beast coming out of the rifts, which is so cool. And you have a little ley line walker, I think, there. All right, then you have this awesome game screen. And I love this art. Pretty good job. So you got, looks like a juicer there. I believe so. You got a Cyber Knight. You got a fully converted combat cyborg. The Psy Stalker. The Burster. The Glitter Boy. The Leyline Walker. And, of course, my personal favorite, a Crazy. Yes, Crazies are awesome. And got a nice book piece here. So you got your combat options, situational rules. You got an injury table, reaction table, out of control table. The setting rules for this, the regular setting rules, bullet rate per fire, leyline effects, technical difficulty table, and vehicle critical hit table. I can speak. So that's really cool, and that'll come in handy. There's a couple charts I'll probably stick on there because I'm still getting used to how Savage Worlds runs. But yeah, let's take a look. So there's 3 books in here. The Tomorrow Legion's player guide. So you're part of the Tomorrow Legion. I don't know. I'll have to read into it more. I haven't really read deeply into that. But I'd rather be a group of crazy mercenaries kind of working together. I do like you get these 3 ribbons, which will help. You got that nice art there, which reminds me that is one of the things, man. Art in Palladium is very, very good. Kevin, and then you got Kevin Symbieta, and then you also have Kevin Long, who, as you might have seen in my old Robotech games that I never got rid of, he drew a lot of the Valkyries in that. All the Valkyrie fighters. Looks really awesome that he did. So you got Pinnacle books. You got a nice intro by Kevin Symbieta here, which is a great read. I really like that. An introduction to the Rifts. So basically, Rifts essentially is World War III happened and just utter nuclear warfare and just how many people died, the amount of people died, the amount of psychic energy, potential psychic energy, PPE, that they released upon death, like caused this overload and reawakened all these latent ley lines. And they just started popping up here and there. And that's why Rifts is just this kitchen sink of a setting and a game. So all the old, this was like, I think maybe one of the original games that was just like a kitchen sink. All the original games of Palladium you could import into Rifts. And there was even a big conversion book, 2 of them, but one of them I had. Or actually, I think I had both. Anyway, so there's a little bit of information how the Rifts and all that. How that really works. I'm not going to go into that. Here's a nice picture. I remember that from the old games. So yeah, the history. You get this castle refuge. It's where the Tomorrow Legion. I don't know. I don't really like that part, but it's okay. You got the character creation summary. Then you got all your characters. So you got your Burster. So you have all these iconic frameworks, which, there's not really character classes in Savage World. So they kind of condensed like all these other abilities that you could get into each kind of framework. And that framework is basically a character class or the OCC in the original games. So they have all the originals. I believe everything. I think, well, in all the supplements, they're there. I think there's a couple in the core book of Rifts that are not in this book. Like the Shifter, I think, or something like that. So you got the Burster, which is basically a walking flamethrower. You got the Combat Cyborg. You have the Crazy, which is my favorite. Basically, you have a whole bunch of cybernetic implants in your brain that kind of drive you crazy, that basically make you superhuman, and has a lot of cool little abilities there, some minor psychic abilities. And yeah, you're just basically insane, so that's always fun. You got a Cyber Knight who is like cool, little bit OP, man. But I don't. That's a really cool. I love that she has a little 9mm or something there, and she has her Psy sword there. So that is very cool. I mean, when I was younger, I thought the Psy Knights are cool, but they're all cool. But I really like the crazy characters. I don't know. I like just being Gonzo. You got the dragon hatchling, so you can turn into a human. You got the glitter boy, which is just a walking howitzer on legs. That's really cool. You got the juicer. So I remember the art for the juicer in the old Rifts game. It was so cool. You just had this naked dude there, and it just shows where like this huge comp computer is in like his chest, and that has all these leads to like his elbows and wrists, and it kind of shows you what the like juicer body looks like how that whole harness works. So like all the drugs are in the middle of this ring on his chest, and it sends it all over his body. So yeah, you're just like a super soldier. It's pretty cool. Now you got some mages. So you got the ley line walker, which is one of the most iconic guys in Rifts. So it's really cool. They can kind of get on the ley lines and just kind of levitate among them. And they have basically I would say probably the strongest magics in the game. Then you got the Mars, which I really like how Savage Worlds handled all the super-powered, essentially, characters, which in Rifts, there is no such thing as balance. But I like how they kind of attempt it or kind of make those characters still relevant and still really cool. So in Mars, you're basically mercenaries, adventurers, rogues, and scholars. So you get a Mars package, which a lot of times gives you like little cybernetics or cool stuff like that to make you kind of really cool and part of the team. Because it's really cool. I mean, I like the whole idea of maybe going in the coalition, maybe Chi-Town, and having like an espionage adventure. So you got the city rat, who's kind of almost like a cyberpunk, essentially, type of character. If you want to be a cyberpunk agent, essentially, I would go with the city rat. You got the body fixer cyber doc. You got the headhunter, which is a mercenary, a techno warrior. And you got the merc soldier. You got the operator. You got the power armor ace, psi operator, robot vehicle ace, rogue scholar, which is also kind of cool. So you could, be an archaeologist in the future, a vagabond, which is like the classless homeless dude in the future, which is kind of fun. And you have the wilderness scout, so you're always going to be out on the Rifts, which is I like. You got the mind melter, which is the most powerful psionic user in this. And then you have the Mystic, which is very interesting. They have both powers of magic and psionics, which makes them really fun to play. Then you get the Techno Wizard. So, you get your classic Mage the Ascension kind of thing, where you have like all these wackadoo devices that you use to harness your magic energies, which I like. I find that really cool. I would make mine like all vacuum tube powered or some weird thing like that. You can make DBs, which are dimensional beings, but you could also just make stuff from the regular. So in the original game, you could throw the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles into Rifts and things like that. You got the iconic blind warrior from the cover of the original Rifts books. You got some other DBs in here. You got the Dog Boys, which the Coalition use a lot, which are fun. You got these dudes, the Finoti, the Grackletooth, the Lingriel, the Psy Stalker, which is really cool. He's like a psychic vampire, so that's a cool character class. And the Quick Flex, which is like a changeling. And the Simvan, and the Trimador. And then you can have all these traits, and then it gives you strain for your bionics, so you can only have so many bionics. Then your edges in here, which I'm not going to go over because we don't need to. But all throughout this book, as you're kind of like flipping through, you have all these Easter eggs. I remember this motorcycle, the Wastelander. That's really cool that they threw these little Easter eggs in here. You got all your gear. And this, I remember that Jeep. You got all your cool armor. I mean, I love this armor. It's got its own style, but it really harkens back to the way that they design. Almost, yeah, I was going to say, it looks like a Triax armor. It's very cool, which Triax is kind of like over in Germany. So like the whole world is like this. You have all this awesome armor, and Triax is one of the corporations that has just all these awesome cybernetic giant robots. You got all your vehicles in here with all the stats, which is not exciting to go over. But yeah, you got your setting rules, like what's different about Savage Rifts. So there's some different things you can do in here. Blaze of Glory rule, Blood and Gore rule, which I'm totally going to use, Blood and Gore. And some other stuff. Then you got your Psionics of Magic. That's a nice picture there. Just kind of goes over how Leyline works, some rituals and meditations for casting your powers, your magics. Some mega powers. So if you remember the old Rifts book, you had your structural damage capacity and your mega damage. So like if there was a giant power armor shooting its plasma rifle at a human being, they're going to be nothing. But a human firing a little 9mm at this giant super robot is also going to do nothing. So it's pretty cool. I like how they do that. So they have like mega traits in here to kind of simulate that SDC and MDC that they had in the original Palladium universe. And then after you make a character with all your stuff, they have these nice tables. You have the hero's journey, so you have these narrative hooks you can roll on. And then each class kind of gets a table. So some classes, or you get like a couple you can choose from. So you got like a body armor. So you roll on here, your body armor might have some significant aspect to it. Some close combat weapons, like a sword that does some extra damage. Some nifty cybernetics. Your past education. Some items or gadgets you might have. Some experience or wisdom that you came to the table with, and some magic mysticism, some psionic stuff, some ranged weapons, some training you might have had before you start the game, and underworld and black ops training, and a nice index. So yeah, in Rifts and things like that, you're already kind of developed. You don't really start as a first level kind of character. I mean, you might be newish, but you still have a lot of your stuff. So you're not just starting from a nobody. You're able to do a lot of cool stuff, which is cool. Then you have the Game Master's Handbook with that. That was one of the I was going to say pogs. I am very dating myself now. I wasn't really a pog dude. That was a little bit after me, but yeah. So it goes over like all the sections of Savage Rifts. Talks about all the zones, kind of what's going on today. Goes through like what it's like, because this first setting is basically in America. So you have the living in America, what America's like right now. All the ley lines, a lot of the units in here, and my favorite, Archie. So Archie is like this giant brain in a vat, like cybernetic brain thing in a vat that is in North America, and like has a human being as his like scion almost, or something. I don't know what you want to call it. His little pet mascot, whatever you want to call. And he hooks up to this guy Hagen, and Hagen designs like all these cybernetic creatures for Archie. So that's really cool. I totally want that job. Please give it to me. ChatGPT, when you take over the universe, please give that job to me. I'm totally a good human. Anyway, sorry. So it goes over all the stuff. Free Quebec. I think it has a little bit of Canada. You got some Northern Gun, which is a kind of a large technological area. They're in Rifts, so you have a lot of like little fiefdoms and stuff in Rifts. So it's kind of interesting and cool that way. You got some like tribal peoples and things like that. You got Vampire's Kingdom in Mexico, which is really cool. That's a cool book. And then you have all these people who want to rule the area. So you have the Coalition, which I must have skipped through there. They're like the future, they're not really Nazis. I mean, everybody thinks they're kind of the good guys. But they are a little bit on the fascist side, we'll say that. Not really Nazis, but they're a little bit fascists, I guess you could say. But they're kind of cool. I mean, they look cool in the game. You know, that's cool in the game to have those kinds of characters and stories. So you have him. You have the Prosek, who's the leader of the coalition. You got the leader for the Kingdom of Magic. You got Aaron Tarn, who's like super famous in the. I remember like that was really cool in the old Rifts books. You had this character Aaron Tarn, and she'd kind of pipe in at different chapters and kind of talk about. She's like a basically adventurer, archaeologist, anthropologist going through the Rifts worlds, and you got a lot of that. Her kind of dialogue of what's happening, what's going on. So they're kind of some of the good guys. You have this dude, Dara Hammerheart, Defender of Hope. Dude, that guy's lame. I mean, he looks cool, but I don't know. He's too good. Goody two shoes. So yeah, and then it kind of talks about the different things that have happened. You got the Juicer Uprising, the Coalition's Campaign of Unity, because they're all about kind of like restoring humans to this world and getting rid of all the DBs, dimensional beings. You got the Destruction of Tolkien, which is like a magical kingdom in this, which is kind of interesting that it got destroyed. It kind of goes over all the history up to now in Rifts. There's the map. And it just keeps going on about the history of all this stuff. Castle Refuge and a map of it. So if you want to use like a Westward Marches, you could kind of do totally that. That would be cool. A Westward Marches Rifts campaign. You got Chi Town, Kai Town. So if you want to do kind of an espionage campaign, you can go in the Federation of Magic and make it very fantasy with railguns if you want. That's really cool. Talks about how to run Savage Rifts, how psionics work, how the magic works. Oh, another Triox bot. That thing's awesome. I think that's on the cover of the old Triox books. Something like that. Talks about more about mega damage and how that really works and how to make that work a little bit better in your Savage Worlds campaign. And then you have all these cool encounters, which I do dig. You can make a lot of different settlements, some adventure generators, some anomalies you might find outside, and then you have all these missions you can go on. So you might be doing emergency relief if you're like one of the Tomorrow Legion, I guess. Or you could just throw these in, even if you're not a Tomorrow Legion guy, which, I don't know. I like the idea for people, but it's just not my kind of Rifts game. So, yeah, it's fine. But it's out there if you do like that thing. But there's a lot of cool things that you can do. So, yeah, it helps you really develop a nice adventure there. I really like that they did that. Then it talks about some contacts and allies you can have. Rewards, gear, things like that you can get. You can even get ranks in that Tomorrow Legion, which I will not do, but it's cool that it's there. All about ley lines, the characteristics of them, the storm effect from the ley line and what that's all about. And then you have different locations, so it's basically like what kind of rifts, so you can kind of generate your own rift and maybe what's on the other side of it, so what could be happening or coming through that area. And then you can where the Rift's Earth location is in this game, and what era, if there's any magic or things like that. So that's really cool that you can generate all those things. That makes it really cool and easy on the Game Master, so you don't have to spend a lot of time on that evil 4-letter word I call prep. And this thing is awesome. I love this cover with this gigantic beast. I mean, look at the size. Tiny, tiny town, and this gigantic beast coming through the rifts. I love that. So this is the Savage Foes of North America. So there's a ton of bestiary books for rifts, of course. Each book kind of has its own bestiary of different things. So you got the denizens. So you got your basic, all your needs for the coalition. They're over here. So you got their awesome armor there. Your soldier, your Samus power armor, which I always love that as a young child. And then you just have all the stats for all the pilots and stuff, and this awesome skull walker, which you totally have to use in your game. Why not? The size stalkers, the skelelobots, because I love skeletons, so why not a technologically advanced Arnold skelebot? And I would totally make them speak like Arnold. Like, that would be like their voice. Like, all of them speak like Arnold in their vocabulator or something like that. And what's also really cool about this is it has a lot of little mini adventure sites. So this one is a little adventure site you could plop in. Goes through the Federation of Magic and some of the people you might come across there. Mystic Knights, Murder Wraith, that's cool. Necromancers, Skeletons, Shifters. Oh, there's a Shifter. They didn't throw them in the first book. And then all these other kinds of cool things. And they ride on these giant beasts of strangeness. And then in here you got a new tale, Savage Tale, meet a new boss. So you got like a little adventure site there that you can run. You also have this other class here. You got a Rift Runner. You got the little coalition thing. You got the First Apocalyptic Cavalry. You got some other dudes in here. You got the Splugorth from Atlantis. Those are cool, and I think, and they released so many of the Rifts books already into Savage Worlds. I know they have the Atlantis, and they just did the Europe Kickstarter. So maybe I'll get those someday. And then you have like all your other standard kind of NPC guys that you want to beat up on. You got your bandits, your bursters, city rat, civilian. And they lay out all the specs, so it's really cool. You could also use this as basically a pre-gen for your friends instead of making them roll up a character. Just get to it. Or if they die, if one of the characters dies, you can just give this to them as a character to run in the meantime till they either make their own new character, maybe next session, or they keep with this guy. And I would just keep it, man. Cyborg, Glitter Boys, you know, your Juicer, your Leyline Walker. So it's got everyone. So yeah, it'd be really easy to just use that for pre-gens. And then you got all your cool monsters. As you do, you got the Broodkill, which are basically dimensional beings that are all about like cybernetically enhancing themselves and causing chaos. And then you got some dragons. The Fury Beetle, which I think that's like an Easter egg. I think they put that there on purpose because there was like this picture in the books. And it was a picture of, I think it was a Leyline Walker riding on the back of one of those. You got a Gargoyle Lawyer, Gargoyle Lawyer. I almost said that. Neuron Beast, Rhino Buffalo, the Simvans, which are like barbarians kind of in this thing. You got Dinosaur. You got Demons, Wild Vampires, Witchlings. So you get enough, not as many as I'd like to see, but you do get enough characters in another little adventure site. But what is nice is you got right here, you can make your own Rift creature, which is really cool. And with all the rules of the original Savage Worlds books, you can easily make pretty much any kind of strange creature that comes out of it. And then you got some classic Rift demonic creatures and things like that. And another little adventure site. And the Index! Huzzah! And yeah, that is everything in the box. Oh, wait, no, it is not. Wait, there is one more thing. You have the great, the Rifts, the Garnet Town Gambit, which is a little adventure. So it's pretty interesting. You got some characters in here. You got like some discoveries, some fights going on. You got going to the town itself. You got a coalition dude running at you or whatever. I haven't read through this, as you can see. I have not gotten to this. Maybe when I go to run the game, I'll read this and take some points. And I always, make it my own. I don't just run through the adventure, published adventures. I usually read it, get the gist, get the things I like out of it, get the characters and NPCs, and then I kind of turn it into my own thing, as you all should. Don't just run right out of those books. They're great sources, though, so I don't disavow people running games that are published. I mean, I don't like to spend a lot of time making that stuff. I don't have enough time. So, yeah, go ahead and use those things. So, yeah, thanks for staying to the end. And yeah, they just came out. So if you were a backer of the second printing, it is available now for pre-order. And you can still get the old versions, I think, on Amazon, just not this glorious box set. But if you want all the little single books and stuff like that, I think you can get those on Amazon still, or on the website. Yeah, the Pinnacle Entertainment website. That's the word I was looking for. So yeah, go check it out. Yeah, if you guys like Savage Worlds, go check out Justin's channel. I'll put a link below. That's how I got into it. And yeah, go check out Savage Worlds and play Rifts, because it's a really awesome universe. And I'm glad that Savage Worlds brought it to us. And I hope they bring more of the Palladium goodness to Savage Worlds, especially Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I love that. I mean, you could make one, but yeah, bring it like officially over. That would be really awesome. And like Ninjas and Super Spies and maybe Heroes Unlimited. Well, they got their own superhero book, but so yeah. Anyway, enough rambling and waffling on. So until we meet again on Rocket Punch. Later.